Last week we went from Turkey to Greece. Greece is in the EU, and this can make it difficult because you're entering the Schengen area and your boat may or may not be VAT paid. We're going to tell you all about the pitfalls and give you some documentation which will help you make the transition easily and effortlessly. So this information is based on today's date, which is August the 1st, 2024, and at this current time these countries are the countries which make up the EU. Most of the countries in the EU are part of the Schengen zone or Schengen area, and that's shown on this map. However, Cyprus, northern Cyprus, is neither in the EU or in the Schengen zone. It's actually part of Turkey, like a dependent state. Now there's lots of arguments about that. We're not going to go into those in this video. But these are the states which are operating in the Schengen zone. Again, southern Cyprus, which is part of Greece, is shown here as part of the Schengen zone. This is not correct. At this point in time, southern Cyprus is not in the Schengen zone. This is a map of Greece and the Greek islands, all of which are in the Schengen zone. So if you're entering the Schengen zone and you're not an EU citizen, there's some things that you have to do differently. So there are some things that you're going to need, mainly documents. You're going to need calendar dates, boat documents, your personal documents. You will have need to applied for your TEPAI and probably paid it before you enter Great Waters. You'll also need to keep a note of the sequence of events. Keeping a sequence of events is quite important. We'll come to that later. The Greek authorities will want to be clear on what the status of your boat is, whether it's VAT paid or VAT not paid, as the status affects the length of the TEPAI you can get. They will also want to be clear on whether you are an EU citizen or a non-EU citizen. The VAT registration of the boat and the EU citizenship issue are not interrelated. One does not affect the other. The biggest issue at the moment that we see appears to be VAT related, and that's because the UK left the EU. Brexit. VAT on UK boats and some ex-charter boats is a little confusing to some people, so we're going to go into that in detail. But first, let's look at some other things. Non-EU citizens can only spend 90 days in every 180 days in any country within the EU Schengen zone, unless your country has a reciprocal arrangement with that country, for example, America and Italy. You will be fined and your boat may be impounded until you have paid the fine if you overstay your 90-day allocation in some EU countries. Greece in particular do not hesitate to fine you, and they are big fines. You may also have a fine imposed but deferred for a period of time, up to 5 years. If you overstay and return before that period has expired, you may have to pay the fine or be refused entrance. And that is regardless of the reason you overstayed, whether it be illness, pandemic or bad weather. VAT paid boats. You will have to provide evidence VAT was paid in the EU when your boat was first launched. You may be asked for this in Greek. With British boats, you'll have to provide evidence VAT was paid previously, and the boat was in the EU on the day of Brexit. You may now be asked to provide evidence that you have not reclaimed the VAT. VAT is not required for boats paid for prior to the 1st of January 1985. VAT status only applies to the boat and not to the nationality of the owner or the flag that it's under. VAT paid boats. If your boat has a VAT paid status, you are entitled to travel under EU law without a transit log in Greece. However, the Ministry has issued a directive that boats from non-EU countries, including the UK, even if VAT paid, will only be issued with an unlimited transit log. This is currently in dispute, and most likely you will be encouraged to accept an 18-month transit log, even if you have proved the VAT status or have proof of it. The length of your transit log does not relate to your 90 in 180 days Schengen zone stay. Non-VAT boats. Boats from outside the EU do not have a VAT status unless they've been imported into the EU. If your boat has no VAT status, you will be issued with a limited transit log. This can be up to 18 months, but may be shorter. Your status as an EU citizen or a non-EU citizen does not change the VAT status of the boat. So why does it matter what the length of your transit log is, i.e. if you've only got 90 in 180 days? Thanks to the CA, the Cruising Association of the UK, boats with an unlimited transit log do not have to check in and out of every port they visit as they travel around Greece. However, this information has not filtered down to many Coast Guard offices. Many will insist that you check in and out of every port regardless of your transit log type. Some may try to impose fines for failing to do so. We can help you with this. Wait to the end of the video, we'll tell you more. Meanwhile, here's a screenshot from the CA's website. This is in the public domain, so you can go along and read it for yourself, or you can freeze the video here and have a read. Okay, let's move on to the Greek cruising tax, or TEPAI, eTEPAI. All cruising vessels have to pay TEPAI by the month. The payment period starts from the first of the month and ends at the end of that month. You cannot pay for part of a month. Some small discounts are available for those in Greek waters for more than 12 months, but they are small. You must pay the whole month regardless of what day you arrive or depart from Greece. The TEPAI system, or TEPAI system, is all online and it's fairly easy to do. You should apply for and pay for your TEPAI before you enter Greek waters, or you could be fined. However, they will normally allow you to enter a port with an application, but you must pay before you go to customs. We have made this guide available to you for free. It's on our website. There's a link to our website in the description. Greek cruising tax. You can pay online. This may take a few days to clear. You can print the invoice generated online and pay at the post office. Some customs offices will let you pay at the customs office if the post office is closed or you're very nice to them, but it depends on the individual office. However, the rules say that you should pay before you enter Greek waters, so just remember that. And you don't need an agent. You can do all of this yourself online. It's all in English. Cost of TEPAI isn't that much for smaller boats. However, larger boats, the cost goes up, and it goes up exponentially. Now, like all taxes all around the world, this tax will never go down. It will only go up. So, I don't know, if you're thinking about buying the TEPAI for a long period of time, it might be worth you paying a year in advance, getting a little bit of a discount. Up to you. Greek cruising tax, TEPAI, Coast Guard or check-in? We've covered the TEPAI first, as on your timeline this is the first thing you should do, as it may take a few days for a payment to clear, especially if you're using the online payment system. Your first stop should always be the port police to get your passport stamped in. More on this in a minute. Then your second stop is to customs to collect your transit log. Not required obviously if you have an unlimited transit log, because that would stay with the boat. Never hand an unlimited transit log over to customs or the Coast Guard. It stays with the boat. Your third stop is at the Coast Guard office to have your transit log or unlimited transit log stamped in and stamped out, of course. If you're from the EU Schengen zone and you hold an EU passport, then this won't apply to you. However, let's go back to the port police. You've entered a new country and you may have come from another part of the Schengen zone or from outside of it. If you're a non-EU resident, you must report to the port police immediately. Your 90 days in the Schengen zone begins on this date. EU residents have free movement inside the Schengen zone. They do not have to check in and are not limited to 180 days. If you have an EU country passport and a non-EU spouse, you should check in with the port police as well and inform them that your significant other, spouse, is travelling with you. It is advised that you confirm this to them in writing. Obviously you'll need to keep a copy of that letter. Your spouse can then have the same extended stay as you have, more than 90 days. Port police. We'd suggest that you take your passport, ship's registration, crew list, vessel insurance, of which some passages may be asked for in Greek, your ICC or your captain's papers. Keep all your documents together in one folder, because you may be asked for something unexpected at some point in time. If they're all with you, you'll have them there and you won't have to return. Now, some port police offices may ask you to fill in a Greek crew list. Most of the information on it comes directly from your papers and your ship's papers. There's quite a lot of details and all the information that they need is on this crew list. There's no fee and you don't need an agent to fill this in for you. Customs office documents. You'll need your crew list, your passport, the boat registration, ICC, captain's papers, and please make sure these are in date. Lots of people get caught out. You'll need a certificate of insurance, your TEPAI documentation and receipt for payment. You'll also need to take all the proof of VAT paid status if you want a transit log which is unlimited. Customs office. If you have an unlimited transit log, you do not need to report to the customs. Just take your documents to the Coast Guard office with your payment and receipt for your TEPAI. Now obviously, to obtain your first transit log or your first unlimited transit log, you will need to have all of your documents with you at the customs office. If you are applying for a UTL, as your boat is VAT paid in Europe, you will need to provide that evidence, and sometimes this might be asked for in Greek. If your boat is registered outside the EU, i.e. UK, Australia, Canada, etc., you will have to provide a lot of evidence for this documentation. So while in the customs office, let's have a quick look at what might be asked for in order for you to get your UTL for your non-EU boat. You'll need an original bill of sale or finance documents. That includes a VAT invoice. You may also be asked to provide a certificate of conformity with the EU Recreational Craft Directive. This is Directive 2013/53/EU. If your boat was manufactured and sold after 1998. Boat registration documents for the flag state of the boat, the UK SSR or Part 1 for example. You'll also be asked for proof of ownership or a bill of sale. For UK boats, you'll need proof of being in the EU on Brexit Day, and these can range from a letter from the marina where you were, a marina contract, a screenshot of your AIS position, satellite tracking position, etc. etc. Also for UK boats, you will need HMRC T2L stamped by the HMRC. For UK boats, some Greek customs offices have been insisting that you provide a letter from HMRC stating that the VAT has not been reclaimed. This is not required if the boat is in private ownership, as private owners cannot reclaim the VAT. However, the Greek customs officers don't know this, and for some reason they've been asking for it. If you cannot provide the required documentation or meet the criteria for the issue of a UTL, an unlimited transit log, you may have to settle for a limited transit log. These are normally for 18 months, but can be as little as 1 month. In all cases, the onus is for you to provide the evidence in a format that is acceptable to the customs officer on the day. Don't forget your crew list, if you've been issued with one from the Greek Port Police, because it will differ in information from your own ship's crew list. If at the customs office you've been issued with a transit log, or indeed a UTL, you can proceed to the Coast Guard office to have it stamped. Your first stamp will have an administrative fee of €15. Again, you do not need an agent to do this for you. Most of the Coast Guard offices we visited have officers that speak English quite well, and they've been very helpful. So what will you need at the Coast Guard office? Well, again, take everything with you. You'll need passports, boat registration, ICC, captain's papers, remember they must be in date. You'll need your transit log. You'll need your TEPAI and your receipt for payment. You'll need a crew list, either yours or the one given to you by the Port Police. And you'll also need €15 in cash to pay the first stamp into the country in your new transit log. Right, more on transit log. Okay, Coast Guard, you're nearly there. And now for the tricky bit. Now, the Cruising Association have been great in fighting the corner for UK residents, or those that have their boats in the Mediterranean, specifically in Greece. And this has helped out all the other non-EU residents. However, because the information on the UTL holders only needing to check into Greece and check out, i.e. not every port, has not filtered down to all of the Coast Guard offices, you may have issues with the Coast Guard insisting you need to check in and check out of every port as if you had a limited transit log. We have obtained the newsletter and update that was issued to the Greek Coast Guard in Greek and have translated it to English. You can use this documentation to provide the evidence the regulations have now changed. We've put all this information and the documents in one pack. However, due to the time and the effort in researching and correlating all of this information, we are only making the pack available to patrons via our Patreon website, and that's to paid up patrons of at least a month. There will also be a transcript of this video and all the slides including within that pack, as well as a few other useful tips and hints. So if you'd like a copy of that Greek check-in pack, simply go to www.patreon.com/SV Impavidus and sign up to be a Patreon for at least a month. Then you can have all the documents, because we've done all the work already. Now if you want to do your own research, well, we'd recommend the Cruising Association, Navily and No Foreign Land. Most of the information could be found, although the personal experience obviously isn't there. Now we make these videos for you, for your entertainment. We try and pass on the things that we've learned as we've been sailing and living aboard the last 7 years. Making videos, editing them and then uploading them to YouTube is a big investment, both in time and in money, and without the support of our Patreons we simply wouldn't be able to do it. And that's why we're asking you to like, share and subscribe. And if you really like our videos, perhaps buy us a beer. Every little helps. All the links are in the description, or you can visit our webpage www.svimpavidus.com. There's lots of cool stuff there, information, blogs, a shop, free technical information, yes, free, and also loads of downloads. All of the videos, all of the music, all of the cameras, sound equipment, drones and even the website have to be paid for. And to help us do that, we have a Patreon crew. For a small donation every month, and it is small, it's less than a pint of beer, you can become one of the crew and get lots of extras, extra videos, advice, technical information and even real-time tracking of us every 10 minutes on our own satellite tracker website. It'd be really great to see you as one of the crew, even if it's only for a short time, and every little helps, as they say. So think about it, maybe join the Patreon crew. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. We'll see you next week. Until then, sail safe.
I grow wings and tell her goodbye. It's not what we see, it's what we choose to be. We're beyond good.